Yeah, I should win just because you had the Timberwolves in the 8th seed.
Vasilevsky's been playing really well, and the Lightning have a great offense.
Yeah, it was a tremendous shot, and I've come to expect it from LeBron. I would say I wish the best for the Red Sox, but as a Yankees fan, that's really hard for me to do.
The biggest addition to me is Jalen Brunson.
Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and that's all I have to say. He's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and there's nothing really anyone can do about it.
Why'd you have to name him? Like, seriously? Like, thanks, man.
Who would have thought 5 years ago that the Clippers and Nets would be facing in the finals?
How is Joe Burrow going to get the ball to them if his butt is already on the ground?
Crazy. And for the fans at home,
Hello, I'm Cy Mendenhall, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. It was a super wild card weekend, emphasis on super and wild. And we have some questions, but we're going to answer them throughout. But the questions are, who had the best coaching performance this week? Who had the worst coaching performance this week? Any critical decisions you disagree with? And then who were the five most impressive performances at any position? So it could be doesn't have to just be quarterback. It's not like the MVP award this year. But I am joined by the man that bet against Tom Brady and won, Austin.
Again, like I was telling you before, I was never betting against Tom Brady. I was betting against the Bucks. I don't trust this Bucks team, one of the worst rushing teams of all time, and that held true. They could not change it. In the playoffs, you need to be able to run the ball. The Bucks were unable to do so, and Brady was making some poor throws. I think in an effort to push the ball down the field and make some plays that just weren't there. Dallas has a great defense, and once they came to play, I knew it was going to be very tough on a Bucs team that just couldn't move the ball.
Yeah, on that, I also think the pressure got to Brady, and I think he just didn't want to get hit, and which led to him throwing some like passes in the dirt just so he didn't get hit, which I understand. And then my question for you, I didn't text it to you. Well, I texted you during the game. When did you think the game was over?
That's a great question. I would say once the Cowboys got it to 31.
Oh, okay.
Where it was 31-7.
Yeah, mine.
Or 31-6. Or what? Yeah, 31-6. When it was 31-6, because that's 25 points. And so it has to be 4 scores. That seemed impossible to me.
I'm going to disagree with you there. It was when Mike Evans dropped the almost touchdown pass. Or they didn't connect. Tom Brady and Mike Evans didn't connect. It was because that would have made it 31-21, right? Or like 20.
Yeah.
And that was after they had recovered the onside kick.
Mm-hmm.
And once that didn't happen and we got the ball back, I'm like, okay, we're good.
Yeah, and I guess we're going out of order today, so we're going over this game first. And I've already got my most impressive performance, and it's Dak Prescott. I mean, that was the best. He played the best game for a quarterback this weekend. He played like he had a chip on his shoulder, and he played like everyone was doubting him, which a lot were, and it all worked out.
Yeah, I agree. He is also my most impressive player. He's number one. He was fantastic. I had said on this episode, he was annoying me, and it was just incredible what he did. And if he doesn't play that way, the Cowboys do not win that game, in my opinion.
I don't know if they don't win, but the chances of them winning definitely go down. And people have to realize that it takes a lot of heart to do what Dak did, because Dallas is a tough place to play. They're very hard on all of their players, especially if you play for the Cowboys. They have so much history of success a long time ago, and now they want some current success, and Dak really came through.
Yeah, and I also have number 4 is Parsons, because I think he was instrumental on the defensive side, getting that pressure.
I didn't think to put Parsons mainly because I thought the defensive effort was team. I felt like it was more of a Dan Quinn than anything. Micah played really well, but I feel like it was more of a team and scheme thing, and also the fact that the Bucks can't run the ball, so you have to pass rush.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I was double dipping with this. I also kind of cheated and had an honorable mention.
You had an honorable mention.
Yeah, I was like,
Who
I'll
is it?
cheat a little bit here.
Who's your honorable mention?
Well, this will help us transition. I have Dexter Lawrence. This one I also double dipped. Um, Dexter Lawrence was there on the defensive side, getting some pressure up the middle, and that front four in general was just did a great job in my opinion with the Giants, and they didn't really blitz. I heard it was one of their lowest percentages of blitzing this year.
Yeah, as a team, yeah, this season they don't like to blitz, and I mean, if you can get pressure with 4, you can be a dangerous team.
Yeah, and then the other guy was Daniel Jones. He was my second. To me, him and Prescott, Dak. I'm not sure. Maybe Daniel Jones. I know he's cleaned up the fumbles this year, but Dak and Daniel Jones to me were great because they excelled with their wide receiving core and they didn't turn over the ball. Dak is leading the league in interceptions, or was leading the league in interceptions when the
He's
season
tied.
ended.
Yeah.
Oh, he's tied. Isn't it Davis Mills?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So those two to me were just incredible in how they played, and they had a huge impact on their team's performance.
Yeah, Daniel Jones was also my number 2. So for some reason, we're starting off with the same, and I don't really think it was all that arguable the top 2. Again, the Giants are a team with a lot of past success, even some like pseudo recent success, if you can consider 2011 recent. But for his first playoff game, he did not look like it. He had the 3rd most rushing yards in a game this playoff weekend with 78. He was throwing the ball well. I was just completely amazed by how he was able to control the game and the tempo, and I think that has to go to my best coach of the week, Brian DeBall.
I understand that. I was tempted, but we'll get to my best coach of the week.
Tell me why you didn't choose DeBall.
I was like, it's tough. I understand why you put him. I didn't choose DeBall for this other coach because of the comeback and his quarterback performance, especially in the first half.
Yeah, that tells me who it is. But the Giants were one of 2 teams that were a lower seed and won, and I'm not really even going to count the Cowboys because the Cowboys had such a better record. So the Giants were the only real upset. Maybe you could say Chargers losing was an upset, but the Chargers have historically never been great. I guess you could say that with the Vikings, but the Vikings 13-4, great at home, undefeated 11-0 in 1-score games. I know who you're going with, but I don't necessarily agree because of how ugly that first half was.
Yeah, I get it. And the ugliness kind of played into like really had to come down from this. And I know it's the Chargers, but DeBall, like I sent you that video. I can't remember what that flag was. Wasn't it like a legal motion or something? Or what'd they do? That turned into, it wasn't a touchdown, turned into a field goal.
I don't remember. I think it was a legal motion, yeah. But
And,
still,
like-
I still here's why that play is beautiful is that he would have scored if that player that moved wasn't even on the field. That's how easy it would have been to score. So yeah, I understand all of your moves, but I kind of get it, but I'm not going to forget the first half. And then also in the Giants game, I'm double dipping like you. I have Isaiah Hodgins as the 5th best or most impressive performance. Who thought Isaiah Hodgins coming into this game was going to have 8 receptions, 105 yards, and 1 touchdown?
Not me.
Did you? Yeah, he played 92% of offensive snaps. He's playing like a lot of people expected Kenny Golladay to play.
That's true. And my thing with like the mess with the flag was the ball yelled at the coach, but then he goes over to Daniel Jones and then he just like, hey, nice job, dude. Which I was like, that's really a great job from him.
Yeah, and that's
Which is why I understand you had him as your best coach. And I was like, I could do the ball, but I think I'm gonna put this guy for this week.
Okay. Well, what game next?
Yes, so we'll probably, since I keep talking about the guys, Doug Peterson, I really thought the Chargers it was gonna be a blowout. Asante Samuel, who is on my impressive list, he's 5.
He's my 4.
3. Okay.
3 picks is insane. I don't care if you lose. That's insane.
Yeah, I was like, you would be higher if you won, but that's not really your fault. Like, you were impressive this week. So
I don't think he would have been higher if they won because I obviously he didn't have enough of an impact to control what happened, and they were already winning big. I think they still would have been winning big even if he didn't get some of those picks. But yeah, and this is where I get into the worst coach conversation. I do not have. This is my worst coach, but it was really close.
okay, I also do not have him as my worst coach. It was also very close. So I wonder if we have the same guy or different.
We probably do, considering I can't think of another option really. So
I wonder. So we'll see what happens. Little guessing here in this episode. I like this format. But yeah, they were incredible, and I was like, do you fire Staley? I was like, the defense played well. So
I don't think you do. I wouldn't.
Well, yeah, and I was
Improvement's
like,
improvement. And again, I'm a 3-year guy. Next year's when you have to make the grave improvement. Like, hey, you have a top 3 running back in the league. You have a very good young QB. You have a talented wide receiver core. And they had a lot of injuries this year, and the injuries were piling up. Joey Bosa the offensive tackle was moving almost every play. So I understand his frustration, but you can't let that happen. I think that's partially coaching as well.
Yeah. So I was like, they did part ways with their OC, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense because the offense in the second half struggled. I was more thinking they fire Staley to bring in Peyton. I was like, I understand that, but I was kind of on the fence about it. But I saw they parted ways with their OC, and I'm like, okay, that's your fall guy for the blowing that lead.
Yeah, they had to make a change, and they did.
And that's why, like, Doug Peterson was also mine. I was like, to come down from that or come back from that, to me, was pretty impressive, especially with how Lawrence did not play well in the first half. And I was like, dang, I wonder if he's going to come back from it, thinking, like, next season, what's he going to do? And then turns out he just played much better in the
But it still should be impossible for them to come back. I don't care how well you play in the second half, up 27-3 at halftime. I know he had the same thing about the Falcons. What?
Was it 7? Didn't they score a touchdown at the end?
Oh, it's 27-7. Yeah. Still.
Yeah.
It's here's the difference between why this game was almost unwatchable comparative to the Super Bowl. I had people talking to me because I always said this is one of the worst games I've ever watched. But one of my favorite games I've ever watched is the Super Bowl where the Patriots came back. Why? Here's why.
May I get? Okay.
Oh, you can guess. Sure.
I'm gonna go defense. Like, the defenses were both great. Are you talking about the Falcons Super Bowl?
Yes.
Or Rams?
Falcons.
Okay.
Because it's a similar story. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a similar huge comeback story. Here's why. There wasn't a team that decided, hey, we're going to throw 4 picks and lose a fumble, and we're still going to win the game. The turnover margin in the Falcons game, Brady threw a pick. LeGarrette Blount fumbled before that pick. and then Matt Ryan fumbles. So the turnover margin was just +1 for the Falcons. It wasn't +5 for the Chargers. I didn't see. Okay, there were some amazing offensive plays for the Falcons, even after they didn't score. There was a Julio catch. There's a couple of great runs.
I remember the Julio.
Yep.
That was good.
Matt Ryan was making plays. That's why I refuse to say that was Matt Ryan's fault. But still, it didn't feel like the Falcons' just offense completely self-combusted. Or their defense, for that matter. Amazing catches. Amazing plays. Amazing runs had to be made by the Patriots. In this game, I never saw that play where I was like, wow, that's the play that's going to turn it around. That's the game changer. Now the Jaguars are going to come back. I'm always sitting there like, okay, they're moving the ball. This seems a little slow. They're moving the ball slow. Maybe they still have a chance, though. Okay, they kick a field goal. And then da-da-da-da-da. They're moving the ball slow. There was never that big play that you need normally to come back. And I think that kind of shows how bad of coaching Staley did, is that it didn't take a huge play or an amazing performance from Trevor Lawrence, because I don't think any of the passes he made were extracurricular. They were never like, oh, that was a great pass. No, they're all accurate and they're good, but there was never that perfect pass that you need to come back. Whenever I watch a Brady come back, like the one against the Rams, that pass to Mike Evans was perfect. It was a perfect pass. And it was a huge play to where you can say, oh, the momentum has shifted. When did the momentum shift in the Jaguars game? Because there wasn't one.
I should have said this. At halftime, I was like, man, this game kind of stinks. And so I decided to play a game, but I was like, maybe the Chargers blow this because, like, they could. So it was in the background. But I was mostly focused on the game I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, glance. I'm like, okay, Jaguars have the ball. And then I play a little bit. And now look, I was like, Jags still, oh, they scored. They have the ball again. It just seemed like a switch with what you were saying. There wasn't just a play. It just seemed like the Chargers just stopped.
That's why the game was so bad. It didn't seem like there was any fight back. The
That's
Chargers
true.
were like, and we're done. Our offense is done, and we're not going to try anymore. Now, can the Jaguars score now? And here's, like, the Falcons game, there were still huge plays. There's mistakes.
That Edelman catch, right?
Yes, that huge, like, crazy stuff had to happen for them to come back. Unlucky stuff. Stuff happens sometimes, but it didn't feel like a stuff happens. It felt like the Chargers decided, I'm done playing football, and that's that. And we are going to go to Cabo and have some margaritas and enjoy our off season. That's what that felt like.
I agree. And one more question on this game before we move on. Do you blame Justin Herbert? Because to me, there was no pick.
There was no. What could he have done? He doesn't make the play calls. And this is something that one of the friends I know really doesn't understand. Like, most QBs don't call plays.
Yes.
Tom Brady doesn't even call plays for the Bucs anymore. It's Leftwich. Patrick Mahomes. Why would Andy Reid be such an offensive mastermind if Patrick Mahomes is calling the plays? He's not. Now, those very high tier QBs have all their audibles. They can call audibles all they want. They have full reign of control. But at some point, your coach is going to be like, what are you doing when you call an audible for the 8th play in a row? Like, you can't do that. So the only way is you call it whenever you see it, and even if you don't like a play, you just run it and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I've been reading, and it seems like 50 years ago, or that would be the 70s, like they said Kenny Stabler called his own plays. But yeah, now I would almost say like Peyton Manning sort of calls his own plays, but not even really. Like he just audible. So to your point.
Yeah. That's why all the Bucs fans were complaining about the offense. Were like, let Brady run the offense, because Brady apparently, like, when they're doing 2-minute, Brady is calling the plays. That's why the 2-minute is so good. Is because he is like, hey this, hey that, hey this. Yeah. And it works. And that's why a lot of Bucs fans are just saying, make Brady the offensive coordinator and the QB. But you can't do that. And
And
It
it's
is what it
too
is.
much work because you also have like put in personnel. I think because like how many wide receiver sets are we gonna do? Are we gonna do 3 wide receivers, 2 wide receivers?
It's really, really hard for a QB to have full reign. Now, maybe they see the set. Hey, we have 2 tight ends and 2 receivers in a back, and they're like, okay, I want to run this play. But the OC decided to put those guys on the field, so you never are going to see a QB have full reign over an offensive decision. Herbert missed some throws, but it's not on him. You can only do so much. Now, yes, if he was perfect, they'd probably win that game. But I'm never going to ask a player to be perfect.
Yeah, and to me, there wasn't really a turnover by him. It was just kind of like the whole team, like you said, stopped
Even
playing.
if he threw 1 pick, I wouldn't have said the game was his fault. Trevor threw 4. I don't think Trevor Lawrence played a good game.
Yeah.
You cannot throw 4 picks and play a good game in my mind.
I agree,
But
and he's not on my list, so and I'm assuming he's not on your list for impressive.
no,
Gotcha.
one that got really close was Travis Etienne, who was running the hell out of the ball. But
Oh yeah, I typed Trevor and I was like no, and deleted him. I think I've said all mine except one, which if you're cool with transition.
I have 3, number 3 left.
I have number 3 left as well.
Who's your 5?
My 5 is Asante Samuel.
Who's your 4?
Micah.
That's right. Okay.
So 3 is Bills wide receiver Gabriel Davis.
Gabe Davis did not make my list, but he played very impressive.
Yeah, and I think while defense was focusing on Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis made some incredible plays, and that toe tap touchdown was great. And there was one more catch. I was like, that's just a great play, and he's continuing where he left off last year in the playoffs of just being coming up big.
Yeah, he was a huge part of what happened to this team and why they still escaped the worst coach of this week in Mike McDaniel.
I agree. I listed the 4th and 1 where they could have won it, and it finally caught up to them, which was they kept getting delay of games. Like I was like, how are they so late? It'd be like almost every second they're cutting it close with the play calling, and it led to them having a 4th and 6 instead of a 4th and 1.
I think it's partially because of Skylar Thompson being on the field that Mike McDaniel was like, I don't know what to run. No, just make a play call. Like, and Skylar Thompson should have had a much better line. I'm not saying O line, like stat line. He had a lot of incompletions, mainly because he hit guys right in the chest and they just wouldn't catch the ball. Miami wins that game if they just catch the ball.
Yeah, I agree. And I heard it was during the halftime, Nate Burleson was like, the weather may be affecting him with the wide receiver.
That's an excuse that I refuse to allow.
Well, yeah, I get that. I was like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. I didn't think of that. Depending on if they want to catch it with their chest or hands, I was like, okay, that could explain.
Sure, but you're a professional. You cannot. It's the playoffs. Like, if you can't catch the ball, don't be on the field.
Yeah, I thought Skylar Thompson played great with the situation. There was
amazing.
That pick.
No, I get it. But I feel like at some point, like, if you're not catching the ball, so you throw it to your chest, where do you throw the ball now? Okay, I'm throwing it right where I've been taught. Let me try something else, maybe? Like, I don't know, but I will never blame that game on Skylar Thompson. People say that if Tua was there, they win. No, they still drop the ball. I don't think Tua makes them not drop the ball. Now, maybe the play call gets them faster. Maybe they make some better plays, and maybe they do somehow pull in a win. But they don't. Dropping the ball would not have stopped because Tua threw the ball to the chest better, because you can't make some of those throws were perfect. If you hit a guy right in the chest and he drops the ball, that is not on you. I don't care what happened in the play. It was a perfect throw. And for some reason, it was a lot of Waddle and Hill, for that matter, dropping passes that were just, you can't get much better.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, to a point, I think maybe the play calling would have been different, but Skylar still played incredibly well. And to me, that interception was kind of the turning point because Josh Allen did not play well. And that interception,
he did not.
me kind of reinvigorating, like, okay, we got this. And then things started to, then Josh Allen, I think, stopped being bad Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm worried for the Bills going future.
But I'm also, what were you going to say?
I'm just worried. I'll just end it off of that.
I'm worried about them. I was like, okay, my Bengals pick could work out. But I'm also worried about the Bengals because
I'm worried about both.
Offensive linemen.
Yeah, I think that's a good transition. I don't know what you do if you're Zach Taylor, because that's not a coaching problem. It's not something you can say, hey, guys, block better. You know what I mean? And the Ravens have a good D-line. And while the Bills don't have their best D-line this season because of injury reasons, they still have a very competent and very impressive line. And I just don't know how you avoid the obvious problem.
Yeah, I think you're just going to have to go Joe Burrow, be Joe Burrow, and be Joe Shiesty.
Yeah,
which is a lot of pressure onto him. But that's kind of what I think is going to, like, that's the only way you're going to win.
Yeah, and the issue is that the Ravens outplayed, I would say the Dolphins outplayed the Bills, and the Ravens outplayed the Bengals. Both of these teams were outplayed, but at home they made just enough plays to win. I was very impressed with Tyler Huntley. Huntley played well, even though he threw that pick. I get it. It is what it is. James Prochet, the SMU product, almost made an amazing catch at the end of regulation. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, to me it was, which a lot of players do, and to me it's just like sometimes look cool. Like when Trevor Lawrence did the 2-point conversion, he held the ball over. But to me it's a little too much high risk, high reward when you try to reach over with the ball.
I will look. Is it the right play? No, he should not have done it. He should not have. But I would, as a coach, never be mad for somebody trying to make a play. If it is, I'm going to try to score a touchdown and do everything. Yes, he should have stayed low. I don't particularly always like announcers and what they say, but the announcer was right when he said that he should have stayed low. He had guys behind him, just let him push him in. But I will never look. He made the wrong play, and he deserves blame for fumbling it. But I'm not going to knock him for trying to make a play.
Okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying. It was, I was just like, I would have like, just make sure you have really good security on that ball if you're going to.
He probably did. The issue is he was up there, and like the announcer said again, he was a sitting duck. There's nothing you can really do about it once you go up there.
That's a good point. So yeah, there's that, and then there have just been other moments like the Auburn and Missouri game where the running back tried to reach it over and it just didn't work. But I understand why they were doing it. So there's that, and then do we just have what are the games left?
Seahawks.
Oh yeah, the Seahawks and Niners. It was all great. Like I was like, oh, can the Seahawks pull it off? But the Niners defense pulled through with forcing that fumble.
The O-line for the Seahawks, it's not good enough. And Geno Smith could not run away from it enough times. And I don't blame Geno. Geno had a great year, and he even had a great game. DK Metcalf was very close to making my list. He was amazing. But the one who does, because I still have 3 open, is Christian McCaffrey. 15 rushes, 119 rushing yards, and then 2 receptions for, 17 yards and a touchdown. He's the reason why Brock Purdy doesn't have to worry. Him and Debo and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, he's a spoiled rookie. I'll say that, because he has a lot of talent.
It is like that defensive line is so good, and I agree that McCaffrey trade is working out a ton. And I know you sent me the tweet of Skip Bayless, like Pollard he would rather have Pollard over McCaffrey, and I'm like, no, because McCaffrey is such a mismatch.
You cannot put someone on him unless they are otherworldly on defense. unless it's a Bobby Wagner, unless it's a Micah Parsons. You have to put your best player on him, or he will score. He'll just have a long run, and there's nothing really you can do about it.
Yeah, I agree. And there's just like you said, there's just so many options that Purdy really doesn't have like any wrong decision. If you throw it to Ayuk, nice decision. You throw it to Samuel, makes sense. Throw it to McCaffrey, makes sense. And there's like and he also has Kyle Shanahan as his offensive coach.
Yeah, and he has. People are saying his defense is better than 2019. Prove it is all I'm gonna say, because that 2019 defense, I remember watching him and being like, "Wow, this is something." So, and I understand great defense in the regular season, but the playoffs is really where you get me to say, "Wow." It's really where I'm. That's impressive. That's it's the whole Bucks defense thing as well. Like, I didn't think the Bucks were as good as defenses as prescribed until I saw the Chiefs game, and I was like, nope, they were just that good. They were just that good. And I need to see that from the 49ers against the rest of their teams these playoffs.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we can go into now previewing. Let's just talk about the Niners defense and the Cowboys game, or do you want to say that for later?
No, we can do that first. And we've already a little bit talked about this game. I did, because I thought this was going to happen. My NFC bracket side is perfect.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Your NFC is your
Because
NFC
I had
perfect.
the Giants, I had the 49ers, I had the Cowboys, and I had, what was the other game?
They didn't play.
Oh, yeah, the Eagles. Yeah, that's right. So I expected this to happen. I have the Cowboys winning. It's going to be really close. And by Dak's performance, I mean, it's looking good for my prediction. That's all I'm going to say.
It does look good. I'm just getting flashbacks to last year where I picked Cowboys. And to me, Dak needs to play well again because you're facing this tough defense. And Jason Peters is out, so they're once again shifting the line again.
He's out?
Yeah, I believe he's out. Or it's not looking good for him starting at left tackle.
Yeah, that's not good.
So you're going to need Dak to beat that pass rush, and he's going to have to make plays. And then defensively, I don't know if I trust Brock Purdy. Like, he's playing incredibly well right now, or his teams are playing incredibly well. I don't. I feel like he's going to turn into a pumpkin, but I'm not sure if that's this game.
Interesting. We'll see. I'm very excited. I think this is the game I'm most excited for this weekend. The history between the two teams. I really want to see how Dak plays and how Purdy plays. This is really like a test of wills, because like you could go Bills Bengals, but the issue with Bills Bengals is, that I don't particularly love Josh Allen. But even if he has a bad game and they lose, there still is not going to be people like, oh, Josh Allen isn't all that good. But if Dak really struggles this game, they would say last week was a fluke. They would say the Bucks game, fluke. What's a fluke? If Purdy plays well, he finally played a good defense. And he played well. But if he plays bad, he finally played a good defense and he lost. So is he just a fluke as well? Like, if he plays a bad defense and has some of the best offensive talent in the league, yeah, it can be good. But unless that's the case, no. So this is really going to be the game where there's a lot of storylines, and I'm just excited. I mean, these are two of the best defenses in the league. I believe it's going to be low scoring, grind out session, and I'm excited.
Yeah, you also have another storyline is Parsons versus Nick Bosa.
Yeah, I will never understand Nick Bosa being better because he has so many other defensive line help. And I understand DeMarcus Lawrence is there for the Cowboys, but you go past that, like, there's that defense of the 49ers is so deep. They have so many players on every level. Micah, they play him everywhere. You don't see Nick Bosa move around. He is
I
a
agree.
outside linebacker, and he will stay a left outside linebacker, right outside linebacker, or D line for his entire career. While Parsons will play nickelback sometimes.
Here's a crazy thing because like we're talking about the mismatches, and I was just like thinking about it. I was like, I don't want to put Trevon on Debo because Trevon doesn't really tackle well. So I was like, what happens if you just put Micah on Debo?
I'd have to match up Micah and Christian McCaffrey. I'd
Okay,
have to.
but yeah, and I was like, wait, you mentioned Christian McCaffrey. I was like, ooh, who do I want? So, and then you
It's a
also have
tough
George Kittle.
assignment. It's a tough assignment.
This defense is gonna have to play well, but to me, it's more on the offensive side because to me, they're facing, like you said, a more complete defense. And
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the Cowboys' weapons.
I'm excited. There's so many storylines heading into this, and you really can't for sure predict anything.
That's true.
So, I'm really gonna enjoy it. But because I was talking about Josh Allen, we can go over to the Bengals Bills game, and another great storyline. Obviously, it's gonna be another fight, another game in Buffalo that is just gonna be hard. And if they couldn't catch, if Dolphins said that that's why they couldn't catch, or whatever the reason was, we'll have to see if they can catch the ball now. But this all comes down to the lines. If the Bills' defensive line consistently pesters Joe Burrow, while the Bengals' D line doesn't get much to Allen, there's going to be some trouble.
Yeah, I agree with that. I almost think quarterbacks because, which could depend on line. To me, one of them is going to have to make a play or not make a play. If Josh Allen throws a pick or Josh Allen just misses a wide receiver's hands while Joe Burrow evades a rusher and hits Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. So I'm going the cheap route. To me, it's depending on the quarterback because I truly think the quarterback who plays better is probably going to have a better chance to win.
I mean, I could see that happening, even though I'd argue like Joe Burrow probably got outplayed by Tyler Huntley just because he didn't have the ball in his hand enough because of the D line. So we'll have to see. I mean, this is another game where I feel like both teams are very close. Both teams have great wide receiver cores. Both teams have great defenses, at least this season. But it's just how can each team adjust to their weaknesses? Because both teams do have weaknesses. I don't really love the run game. The Bills have kind of gone away from the run game recently. And then the Bengals, obviously, their O-line discrepancy is massive.
I agree. I'm still debating which one. I hope the Cowboys game's close, and we'll see. I'm really excited for this one. Maybe I just have like a stake in the Cowboys game. I'm like I don't want to. I was very distraught last week. I'm like, man, dude, it's gonna stink. And then we won. I'm like, sweet, let's go, happy. Hopefully everything stays the same. No drastic changes to the Cowboys. But now we'll go to the Chiefs and Jaguars. Was really hoping for Chiefs and Chargers, and we'll have to see how well the Jaguars play against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I mean, this was the one game I did not predict would happen because I thought the Chargers would be here. The Jaguars have a tall task. I do not know if their defense is good enough, even though they have a good defense. If Trevor Lawrence is throwing picks to a Chargers not fully healthy defense and guys suspended and all that, I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup. And I think Doug Peterson is the only reason why they have a chance.
I would agree. I think that's a great point. Yeah, we're gonna have to see what Mahomes does and what Trevor Lawrence does, and just what level of Chiefs defense is there going to be? Is it going to be Jaguars are scoring at will, or Chiefs defense makes some key stops?
Yeah,
but now,
I was going to say that the Jaguars cannot do what they did against the Chargers and expect to even have a remote chance of winning. They have to play like they did in the second half the entire game.
I agree. I'm still gonna stick with my pick and have Chiefs.
Oh yeah. I was taking
And
Chiefs
now,
no matter what.
yeah, now this one I think I might be the most excited one. Giants first year DeBall. They really came in with like, hey, don't expect too much, and now they're in the divisional round, facing number one Eagles, and now the Eagles with Jalen Hurts coming off that bye. What does he look like in the playoffs? Last time they played in the playoffs, they got beat by the Buccaneers, which was last year. So, not sure what happens.
Yeah, and I like the Giants still because I don't think Jalen Hurts is 100% healthy, and I also believe Brian DeBall may just be the most underrated coach in the league. I don't hear enough talk about DeBall, and I feel like again while Doug Peterson is the best reason why the Jaguars have a chance, DeBall is the best reason why the Giants have a chance, and I believe that DeBall and the rushing offense that is the Giants. I just this is gonna be another great game, and it's really going to come down to the Giants' defense. Can they keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket? Can they sack him? Can they make sure that A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith don't take over the game, or Dallas Goedert for that matter? And if that's true, I know for a fact that Brian DeBall will get some touchdowns scored because he's just that good of an offensive coordinator slash head coach, offensive player.
Yeah, I think you made a great point with the defense because they're facing a different challenge than last week. Kirk Cousins really just stays in the pocket. If Jalen escapes that pocket, how far is he going to go depending on the injury is something to look for. But, yeah, and do they blitz? And I don't think they do. I think Wink Martindale just trusts his D-line because there was a lot of rookies. Kayvon Thibodeau made some great plays. You have Dexter Lawrence, who's older, and then isn't there another rusher on
Leonard
the Giants?
Williams?
Huh? Oh, that's great. Yeah, Leonard Williams. I was forgetting about him.
You already mentioned Thibodeau, right?
Yeah. I mentioned Thibodeau and Lawrence, and I was like, there's another rusher. And if
it's Leonard Williams.
And then I've heard he's been blitzing, like he'll send a linebacker, then pull a rusher out. So I think you're gonna just have to trust your front four, which I think the Giants do. And then it's like you said, keep him in the pocket, because if the play breaks, I think Jalen can make a play, especially with his wide receivers.
Yep, yeah. And let me ask a question to you. This is not about this game necessarily, but it's about the NFC overall. Does an NFC East team make it out, in your opinion? I know I already have the Giants making it out, so my answer is obviously yes. But 3 out of 4 teams, NFC East, do you think an NFC East team represents the conference?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to go Niners.
So the Niners take down the three-headed dragon of the East?
Yes. So I'm going against the analytics on this one. The only team the Giants or Eagles could do it, but here's the thing. The only time I truly trusted the Eagles, just because it's kind of similar to Brock Purdy with Daniel Jones. Can Daniel Jones keep it up when a defense put high pressure on him?
Here's the issue. Daniel Jones, the reason why I believe in him is because he's done it all year. And now he actually has this is the first time he's actually had a good offensive head coach. So
yeah, I do agree.
I guess we'll find out, but I'm going to stick with my NFC East.
I'm going to stick with mine because I have Eagles and Niners still facing each other. So I'm going to go Eagles win, Niners win. But yeah, we'll have to see with Daniel Jones. And Saquon was also great, but I think DeBall is great at utilizing his player strengths, and I think he's done that with Jones. And maybe, like I said before, they'll find a QB. Maybe there was a QB, and they just stick with Jones and see what happens next season before they go make a trade.
I don't think they make a trade.
Well, yeah, I definitely don't think this year. I think they do their best to keep Daniel Jones.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
and
if
he
Daniel
could.
Jones ends up leaving or something like that, I mean, Geno Smith's always available for the comeback.
That's true. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. But yeah, if he plays well again, win or lose, then he may solidify his market, what he can make in the market. But we'll talk about that in the offseason. Excited. Hopefully, it's great playoffs. And thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.